Good morning, guys. So, getting back into the trade reviews, and today was a very bright green day. Today was the brightest green day so far this week. We were coming off of 2 days of pretty much break-even trading, and finally we got some action that was pretty easy to capitalize on. Now, if we go back like 15-ish minutes before market open, maybe even a little bit further back, we were in a pretty good uptrend overnight. The market's been pretty bullish for some time now. And as far as pivots above, we don't really have any on ES. We only have pivots above on NQ, and those are marked with yellow lines. You can see we have a cluster of pivots right here around 23,180 and 23,181. Very, very bullish for those to break. Looks really good. Not really much on ES, a small one right there, I guess. But before market open, we started pulling back quite a bit. So I identified some buy-side pivots, which is this here on NQ and this here on ES, which I am bearish for NQ to get if we invalidate most of this move. You know, if we can drop to something like here, you know. So that was my pre-market analysis. My pre-market analysis was, I'm bullish for these pivots to break. Also bearish for this pivot. I'll be bearish for this pivot if we invalidate much more of this run. And I'll be bullish for here if we invalidate this pullback. So that's my pre-market analysis. Now, as the market got closer to opening, it's continued to drop and drop and drop a ton. And finally, the market opened here. Not here, sorry. Market opened here. So the start, it looked like ES was stronger than NQ in the beginning. During pre-market, ES looked stronger, NQ looked a bit weaker. But now it looks like that may be changing. NQ opened a little bit stronger. But then we got this candle here. ES is now a lot stronger than the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ's in my area to enter a put trade. But the problem is it has lower lows with buying wicks, which is bullish. And ES, well, ES looks good to get to this high. It's just one solid green candle away from triggering me into that. So I need some of this bounce to invalidate on ES, and then I can be biased for ES to sweep low of day. And by that time, NQ should get my PT. So essentially, I'm going to enter puts, but I need NQ to start invalidating this buying wick. If it starts invalidating this buying wick, I will enter puts. And that's what it did during this next candle. I believe it, yep. So I entered during the candle. I didn't get as good of a fill as I wanted to, but I at least bought before it got low of day. I filled the 0-day 55.6 puts at 66 cents. Went full size on it. And sold out when it hit my PT. Boom, right here. So I got 30% gains on the trade. However, ES didn't actually sweep low of day at all. So I kind of had small regrets on closing the trade out early. I'm like, okay, well, if NQ invalidates this this bounce, I'll re-enter QQQ puts, but very small size. Pretty much just re-entering what I should have left as runners. So, I usually enter between 40 and 60 QQQ contracts, right? And I usually leave a few to run to keep the alert open and all those things. So if the bounce invalidates, I'll re-enter just like 3 QQQ puts. Just to see if, because maybe ES gets new low of day and then it gets this pivot. Well, with NQ so weak, and that would put NQ all the way down here. And that's a little bit too much opportunity and a little bit too much potential to miss out on. So I filled kind of in the middle of this candle. Long story short, I did end up stopping out of it. It hit break even, then I stopped out on this candle. Right at the beginning of this candle, actually. So I literally only gave back like $40 from that, so it wasn't a big deal. However, we get this candle on ES, and looking back on it, I really could have entered calls here. I mean, it does meet my qualifications. NQ's putting in a bullish liquidity sweep, so on and so forth, but the problem with me is, the problem I had is NQ already did this. I mean, it put in 2 very nice green candles here, but then invalidated right after. So my concern was NQ was actually going to hit supply and turn back into a bear flag and then head down. That was my concern. So I wanted just one more small green candle, and unfortunately the next candle was pretty big, so I didn't get a very good fill. I filled it roughly right here at 3.4. Those calls were at 3.0, and that's where I wanted to fill. But I didn't end up getting that great of a fill, unfortunately. But anyways, so I filled this trade. Fairly heavy size. I was willing to add for a cup and handle, but obviously the first PT is ES New Hive Day. You can see that PT is actually pretty close. Like if we zoom in, it's pretty close. I think I filled roughly here. Something like that. Well, we got to PT, and now next PT is NQ pre-market high. Now, I can't fill QQQ calls, though. The problem is NQ has been pretty much the same. It has been weaker, but now it's pretty much the same strength as ES. And the only way I can fill QQQ calls is if we get some really, like, we come up to here and get some very solid bullish consolidation. I can enter whichever stronger. Or NQ flips extremely strong, so I get a brand new strength divergence, which drastically increases the odds of NQ continuing if ES still looks bullish even during the pullback. And that's a decent excuse for me to enter the trade at least half size. Okay, because I can't enter full size unless we get solid consolidation, like a flag or a handle for this cup and handle. It's just too risky, especially with supply here. But this is the next PT. It's looking pretty decent. We start pulling back. Bullish consolidation on ES. This is I called this out, and sure enough, right after it broke to the upside. So my calls are running. I still have a solid runner position left. I didn't pretty much sell everything here. The P2 is really close, and I'm really looking for this NQ New Hive Day. So I have right around half left, to be honest. And at this point, I was up roughly 67% on my SPX calls. Now, here's where I did an excuse. Right here. I entered QQQ's calls at the beginning of this candle here. I finally got a strength divergence. NQ flipped extremely strong. Now, I have to go half size because a pullback is not unlikely at all. I'm not going to go into the strength divergence too much because you would have to see it in real time for me to properly explain it. But at the beginning of the candle, ES dropped, NQ went up. That's a big strength divergence. I'm still bullish on ES. NQ has a PT above. Now it looks very likely that if we pull back, it's actually going to be bullish consolidation, if we even do. And regardless, I give it about like a 70-something% chance now that it's going to get to this high. So anyways, well, it got to the high, but a perfect double top where that's not allowed. So I added on the pullback. Now, I didn't add the full second half because I was looking for like bullish consolidation like this. But I did add half of a half back. So right now I'm in roughly 3/4 of a trade size. Super bullish. Perfect double tops like this on NQ. Super bullish, super rare. ES does them a lot more common, and even then I'm bullish for them to break. But NQ, very rare. And I told you guys that. So hence, I told you guys I'm very bullish on this pullback. Very bullish. And it played out. It consolidated a bit, and then it played out. We broke to the upside, which was beautiful. And I took most of my profits. I pretty much sold everything. ES had a perfect double top, so I was waiting for that to break. But at this point, once ES broke this perfect double top, I was completely out of SPX and I had a small QQQ runner position left. That's gonna... There. Boom. Small NASDAQ position left. This was bullish consolidation. Did look pretty good to go up, but it didn't. And I stopped down my runner right here. So in short, I got plus 30% gains on the first trade. Got all the way up to 79% gains on the SPX trade. I probably averaged roughly 50 though from trimming. And QQQ calls got 51% gains. So we got plus 79, plus 51, and plus 30. I averaged a little bit less than that, except the first trade. The first trade I was all out at pretty much 30%. Except I gave back a tiny bit with that extra runner position. Very green day right now. Now, I did send a TA alert. And I said, this is a very big deal pivot right here. I'm very bullish for this to break. Very bullish. So it looks good to enter calls roughly here to this pivot and maybe beyond. And I did wait for it to invalidate that much of the move. It kind of came close, but ES was putting in this rising wedge. And Honestly, I'm a little bit more motivated to walk away, take my bright green and walk away, despite this being a very solid trade setup. Because not only was the first hour coming to an end, and you guys know I don't trade beyond the first hour, typically. I'm not really supposed to. Um, but you also got to keep in mind, yesterday and the day before this, I walked away like barely green. I'm talking like pretty much break even. I walked away pretty much break even. Tuesday we started out red, ended up started with a couple of red trades, got a couple of green trades that evened out. Yesterday started with a couple of green trades, gave back profits, got a couple of red trades and it evened out. So it's my first bright green day in a few days. So it's I'm a little more willing to walk away, but I did wait for it, and I was willing to enter. But roughly here, I walked away. It's not even here. Like here, I walked away. But it's still a very solid trade setup, and I even said you can extend your entry down to here. And I did send the TA alert. Solid. If I were still trading, I would have taken it. And right after I left, it did end up happening. Very nicely. So you guys were able to make extra money today. You guys were able to be much more green than I was today off that TA alert. But I do my best to, if I'm done trading, but there's an obvious great TA setup, and you guys are lucky this rising wedge didn't play out here. But if there's an obvious great like TA setup, but I'm done trading according to my rules and strategy, I do my best to still alert you guys that this is a solid setup. If I were trading, here would be my entry, here would be my stop loss. That way you guys can practice trading on your own, take good setups, all those things, and be a little bit more confident in your analysis, because I know a lot of you guys like when you're thinking about taking a trade and you find out I'm taking the same trade or my bias is the exact same as yours. So I do my best to do that. But otherwise, that's pretty much all I got this morning. It looks like the first and second hour were very profitable today. We even just put in really nice bullish consolidation up here. A beautiful bull flag that broke to the upside on NQ. And I would have been in ES because ES has been stronger. But yeah, very trendy day. A lot of money to be made today. Very, very, very good price action. So, yeah, not much to comment. But that is everything that I did this morning. So does anyone have any questions regarding anything I did? Type in chat if you do. Question 643 to 647 as bullish consolidation. How did you identify that? 643 to 647. I didn't, Rikai. No. I said I was looking for bullish consolidation to enter, or a major strength divergence as an excuse to enter half size. This is not bullish consolidation, unfortunately, on NQ. ES is, though. ES did put in bullish consolidation, if that's what you're talking about. This is technically it. You have a little bullish rectangle forming. Not like you have a solid uptrend and then you're going sideways. It's bullish consolidation. But it wasn't like super, solid bull flag. If it got one more oscillation, it would be like a perfect bullish rectangle. But this is still bullish consolidation, just much smaller. If you were to hop to the 5-second chart, let's see what it would look like. Yeah, like that looks like bullish consolidation, right? We have an uptrend, and now we're consolidating. It's bullish because of the uptrend. So if that's what you're talking about, yes, ES was bullish consolidation. I did call it out, and it did break to the upside. But that's not, if I wasn't already in calls, that wouldn't be a trade that I'd enter right there because we're on a pivot. So there's not much I can do about that. I wasn't able to enter until I got that big NQ strength divergence. But no, chopping upwards is not bearish. Rakai, bearish consolidation means it's consolidating after a downtrend, okay? So if price action does this, first off, that's not consolidation. That's just chopping up. Nor is it bearish consolidation. Now, is it bearishly chopping up? Sure, there's an argument for that. But this, higher highs and higher lows, is not consolidation. Consolidation is when momentum stalls and the price action goes sideways or slightly pulls back after a decisive up or down trend. And the bullish or bearish is only defined by what was the trend before it started consolidating. Pennant flag? I don't know what that means, JBS. A pennant and a flag are different things. So is bearish before the candles, before those were bright green? No, bullish, yes. Yeah, it's in an uptrend, dude. It's in an uptrend. If it's going up and we go sideways, it's bullish. But this is not bullish consolidation because you're making higher highs. This technically was just very small. Does that answer your question? Yep. Bullish or bearish just means what was the trend before the consolidation. Because statistically, that's which way the consolidation is more likely to break. Doesn't mean it's going to, just in general. All right, sweet. It does not look like there's any more questions. So I will let you guys know when this is posted on the YouTube. And we got Trade Sim. Well, I have a mentorship meeting here in 10 minutes, and we have Trade Sim in 3.5 hours. And we got a lesson day after market close. So I will see all you people for that. Got a lot of stuff happening today and tomorrow as well. Good luck if you continue to trade. If you need anything, you know where to find me. And congrats on the gains this morning, guys. It was an awesome day today.